So let us continue reading from my book, Healing, Wholeness and God Realisation. Today we're reading chapters 4 and 5, which deal with the topic of the natural human or natural humanity and our connection and our interdependence with nature, so with the planet herself. You are of spirit and you are of the earth. Just as you are ensouled with God's stuff, the earth herself is ensouled with God's stuff. We can consider the earth to be the physical body of a great energetic entity who we will refer to, as she has been known through the ages, as Gaia. Just as you, as the indwelling soul, have done, Gaia, in an attempt to explore and understand the nature of her being as gifted to her by life itself, extends herself into the form realms and has built around herself a physical body through which she grounds and expresses her beingness in all of its guises and potentials. Just as you are, the planet is also ensouled. It is alive. It has purpose and intention, and it is learning, growing, exploring, understanding through its experience in the form world, contributing and feeding this data back to the greater being of which it is a part and an expression. When you take a physical body on planet Earth, you enter into an agreement with the Earth's indwelling entity. Just as the bacteria which colonize your digestive tract enter into an agreement, a working relationship with you. The criteria for being permitted to have part of your experience here on planet Earth involves you agreeing that your participation will add benefit to the experience of the whole. You agree to assist the being that is Gaia in furthering her development and explorations of herself by contributing something new and unique. It is intended to be a mutually beneficial relationship with you, the planet, and all creatures and life forms experiencing life here, benefiting from your presence. You must, in the long term, bring something of value. With these criteria agreed to, Gaia temporarily clothes you in a part of her body. The stuff of her body is loaned to you so that you can experience having a body of your own. We know that matter and energy can neither be formed nor destroyed. It can only change its form. We know that everything which exists today has existed for as long as existence has existed. We know that the stuff which built the bodies of the dinosaurs has returned to the earth and continues to exist today. We know that the atoms which have made up every human body, every animal body, every plant, every mineral, every droplet of water that has ever existed are still in circulation today, changing form and combining in new ways to have different experiences. A tree dies and rots, its structure dissolving back into the earth to be eaten by bacterium, which feed the soil, which grows another plant, which is eaten by an animal, which is eaten by a human and used as material in that human's body until it is secreted and absorbed into the atmosphere, where it is carried to another part of the earth, where it eventually falls as rain to replenish the soils, which birth a new tree, and on and on. All physical matter is in a constant state of transformation, a constant state of becoming and unbecoming. Every molecule combining with other molecules in new ways to express its form in unique and as yet not occurred ways. Each cell is completely unique, a combination of the smallest pieces of matter which have always existed, but which have never come together to be combined in their current form. Pieces of Gaia are coming together to create and explore in ever new complex patterns and combinations. The instruction to go forth and to have experience is being seen through in a very literal physical sense, right down to the most microscopic portions of physicality. This means that all things are in a constant state of death and rebirth. All energy and all form is recycled, and every possibility is thoroughly explored. How else can the energy of life itself fully and completely explore and understand itself? The stuff which your body is built out of is eternal, whilst also being temporary in its current form. It is on loan to you by a planet which is in a constant state of motion, continuously exploring new combinations and possibilities. In each moment, your physical body is new. In each moment, you are a unique combination of matter which has never existed before, as your cells slough off, as new cells are formed, as nutrients are absorbed, as hormones are released, as neural messages are signaled, as new sensory input is integrated, as your frequency fluctuates, as the atoms of your cells spin and move, as your blood moves, as you take in oxygen and release carbon dioxide, as you consume new molecules in the form of food and drink, as byproducts leave your body, as the atmosphere soaks in through your skin. Your body is in a constant state of flux. In each moment, you are in a state of becoming and unbecoming, a state of death and rebirth. The physical body is not afraid of this constantly fluctuating state. The physical body does not fear its own demise because through its connection with everything which has ever existed on this planet, it knows that it continues on. It knows that death is not permanent. It knows that death is the beginning of the next phase of life. It knows that death is fertile and fruitful. The stuff of the body knows and understands permanence and impermanence, knows and understands what it means to be one with its natural environment. The fear of death, the fear of impermanence, is imposed on the physical body by the impermanent human ego, which is also, by nature, energy or consciousness which is continuously recycled and which never really dies, but which so deeply identifies with and attaches itself to the physical form that it believes it will cease to exist at the loss of the physical form. Nature does not carry or reflect this fear. The constant state of creation and decreation, the flow and unity experienced by the form world is evidenced in nature. The tree does not fear its demise. The tree utilizes the form which is available to it to the best of its ability, proudly reaching and extending itself into unique treeness, providing shelter, providing food, absorbing from its environment, growing new parts, dropping old parts, with not a fear or even a consideration of the time that it will no longer exist. In each moment, you lose a version of yourself that will never again exist, whilst also gaining a version of yourself that has never existed before. All of nature experiences this as a state of being. It is not a thing to be feared or mourned, but rather it is a thing to be curiously explored and triumphantly celebrated. Nothing is permanent, which means that everything is changing and is indeed changeable. There is an ease and a grace, a belonging and a unity, a feeling of in-placeness which runs through all of nature. All creatures, all plants, all minerals, all natural phenomena knows that it belongs. It rests easily and knowingly in its environment. There is a simple, natural consciousness which flows through the form world, bringing with it a deep peace and feeling of connection. You never see a bird stop to ponder the meaning of its existence. The meaning of its existence is existence itself. The point of its being is to be to the best of its ability. It never feels awkward or out of place. It belongs in its natural environment, and though it may differ from the other creatures of nature, it feels a sense of unity which transcends even its sense of belonging with its own kind. All things which are natural contain within them this sense and feeling of oneness and belonging to the form world. There is an ease and a grace, and a tendency to seek growth and new experience. There is no existential crisis. There is peace and wholeness, and beneath it all a continual thrust to grow and to evolve. Gaia is peering out through all of her creations, moving and communing and combining in new and interesting ways. The angst and the insecurity that we feel is a human quality, a byproduct of the kind of consciousness we possess. It does not originate in the natural physical body, but is instead imposed on the physical body, on the natural world, by our thinking minds as a result of our ability to view and experience ourselves as being separate from our natural environment. This is a part of the unique experiment that is being had here. This is part of what Gaia is exploring and understanding through us, her human creatures. If we removed the soul consciousness and the resulting mental and emotional phenomena from human creaturedom, human creatures would return to the simple, natural consciousness of the plants, the animals, and the minerals, and return to the experience of oneness with their natural environment. There would be no questioning, no self-consciousness, no feeling of separation. The natural human would return, moved by Gaia and expressing according to her curious nature. There would be no me and mine, no fear, no conquering of the natural world. Human creatures would coexist as natural as the plants, the animals, the soils, the water, the sunshine, and the rain. In your purest physical form, you are of nature. Human existence is natural. You are one with your environment. You are in place, you are whole, and you are supported by your natural environment because you are quite literally a part of it, built out of the same stuff as everything else which exists in nature. Constantly, you are returning parts of yourself to nature, and you are receiving new parts of nature, adopting them as a part of yourself. You cannot separate yourself from your natural environment. You are built out of it and you sustain it just as it sustains you. You are as natural as the trees and the land and the animals and the oceans. Spiritually, you belong with God. You are one with life itself. And physically, you belong with Gaia. You are one with nature. In each direction, up and down, you are one with, and the experience of unity is available to you. And we move on to chapter 5, which is titled, Why Be Conscious? Some might say that the surrender of separate consciousness and the return to the simple consciousness of the natural world is the ideal for human creatures. But these people are so deeply entrenched in their belief that humans are separate from nature that they consider humanity to be a blight, to be something quite unnatural. Individual human consciousness and the unique human ability to suffer and to experience isolation is humanity's great contribution. It is humanity's path to offering something truly useful and unique to the experience of life here. The kind of self-consciousness that human creatures possess was deemed useful and interesting enough to warrant thorough exploration. It was allowed and chosen both by God and by the planet. So how can we say that it is unnatural and undesirable? We are exploring how unity and love can be chosen even when separation and fear are an option. The kind of consciousness possessed by the natural world here excludes suffering and separation as a possibility, and so love and unity can easily be chosen almost by default. As humans, we have a choice. We have a whole plethora of physical, emotional, mental, psychological, and spiritual reality that we can choose from. The question is, what do we choose when we can choose anything? This is the great experiment, and the aim of the experiment, as previously stated, is the discovery and the making of the conscious choice to turn the heart and the mind to God, to grow closer to God, to reawaken in unity with God, and to choose to become more like God. This is the great ascension, the return to the mind of God, the reuniting with something greater than the separate self, and the yearning to embody and to serve that life, the love which runs through all that is. It is a choice. It must be a choice. It is easy when there is no choice, when love and unity is your default setting. But imagine all the wisdom and the profound refinement of character that is the inevitable result of this choice being consciously made, this path being personally desired and deliberately embarked upon. This choice, by nature, uncovers and reveals the God within its maker. The serving of God, the deliberate choice to reunite with God, creates a God. You can do and be absolutely anything. So what do you choose? Only then, when faced with everything imaginable as an option, equipped with a thinking mind, strong emotions, and an obviously separate physical body, can you truly exercise your free will to make a choice. Only then, whilst so deeply entrenched in the sensory illusion, can you know that the choice is thorough, honest, and true. Only then can you truly choose God. Humanity at large is just in various states of choosing. Some are still deeply immersed in their experience as a separate self, whilst others are at the beginning stages of being motivated by service, and some others are actively and consciously seeking enlightenment. They are awakening to unity consciousness, wielding their free will to serve the will of God, of life itself, and actively offering up the gifts of their wisdom. This is not wrong. No one is better or worse. Every step and stage of the evolutionary process is necessary. If you are a toddler, you cannot become an adult without first being a teenager. And if you do suddenly find yourself bridging that gap and being an adult, you will have missed a great many lessons and experiences which can only be had by being a teenager, and without which you are bound to be dysfunctional and ill-equipped. Each experience and each phase of this process is unique and offers something, some learning, some new experience, to the whole as well as to the individual. When viewed from the perspective of the soul, which exists outside of time and space, this notion of comparison, being better or worse for being at different stages of evolution and realization, becomes completely ridiculous. If the soul can have a body in any time or any place, and if the soul is choosing those times and places to have a body based on its requirement for certain fields of development, then it is foolish to think that the soul evolves in a linear time fashion. One who appears to be unenlightened or asleep may indeed be your evolutionary superior in the past. They may be judging you in the year 1675 for being less evolved than they are. You are not better, you are just different. God does not sit on a high horse. God simply is. Unity with God means God-like humility and a transcendence of this kind of self-obsession. And then next, we'll move on to chapter 6, which is exploring the topic of human consciousness as an avenue for service. So unpacking the point of human consciousness further. But for now, we leave it there.